Hello, beautiful stars. Welcome to another Matrix Living episode. I am Courtney, host of Stars of the Morning Light and the episodes of Matrix Living. Tonight we have Miss Lovely Sophia with us. Some of you know her from previous channels, Andromeda 7 and here at Stars of the Morning Light. Sophia, I'm so happy you're with us. How are you?
Great to be here. Thanks for the email and the communication. I love the topic and I'm excited to get into this.
Yeah, definitely. I,
Mhm.
you know, I have a list of folks that I definitely want to reach out to, and you were top on the list.
Thanks.
Before we begin, do you have anything going on in your life that you would love to share?
Sure, sure. Event wise, heavily involved at Camp Chesterfield in Chesterfield, Indiana. This coming weekend, there's a psychic fair, and then there's a museum that will be open to the public that has all the metaphysical artifacts from the physical mediumship. That'll be open until 1. It starts 10 to 1 is the psychic fair, and then there's a message service right after that. $10 per person. It's a lot of fun too in the
Wow.
chapel. And then after that, if you're still, interested in more interaction with spirit, I have the privilege of being a resident medium and suggested a clairvoyant circle, which would be in my seance room, and signs and symbols from your loved ones, and flame messages, and rune messages. I kind of get bossed by spirit, so that's what they came up with. I'm like, sure, why not? So that's what we're doing this coming Saturday, the 25th of July. Hard to believe we're already through July. What
I
happened?
know, I
Oh my
know,
gosh.
I know.
But still doing discussion groups the first and third Mondays and Tuesdays, tarot and runes on Zoom. So that's doing really well. I'm blessed. I'm grateful. Spirit Fest at Camp Chesterfield's coming up. I know September doesn't feel that far away, but considering how far we are from April, it's kind of right around the corner. So that's coming
Yeah.
up. It's a big festival, the biggest actually at camp. So I'm pretty excited
Wow.
about that.
Wait, when
Yeah.
is that again?
Let's see,
That's in,
Spirit
is it
Fest.
in the autumn or is it in the spring?
September, well, May Fest is in spring and it's in
Mayfest
May,
is in
and
the
then
spring.
Spirit Fest is in the fall. I believe it's the third weekend in September. And all of
Okay.
that camp stuff is at campchesterfield.com. So if that
Okay.
piques somebody's interest, that's one, where to find me, because
Yeah.
outside of these amazing opportunities, I'm not on the interwebs, not much. YouTube's
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
it.
Beloved stars, I will put whatever links Sophia has down below in the description. And I think I know other people that work that big one in the fall. I'm pretty sure I
Very
do.
popular.
So yes, it's a very big one in May and in the autumn in September. So I mean, if I know other people that work it as well, that I mean, it's a beautiful, great event, and they love it every year. So, everybody,
Hmm.
check out where Sophia's at. I know you're not on social media as much anymore. Um,
No.
I will post whatever I can in the description,
Thanks.
and I'll post it on the social media of Stars of the Morning Light as well for you to just, boost it a bit. So. Okay,
Appreciate.
beloveds, this is a Matrix Living episode, and I'm so excited because every episode is different. Every episode's unique because there's no right or wrong answer with like what our opinions are of the Matrix. There's no such thing as right or wrong here, and just having the dialogue is so much fun. With every guest, we ask the same question every single time, and then we just kind of roll from there. And that is, will you please share with us a memory, an instance, uh, some moment in your life that you would share with us that kind of opened your eyes to, whoa, there's something else happening here. Whatever this so called earth that we live on, so called possible matrix, our eyes opened at some point to go, whoa, what is that?
Hmm.
Could you share that instance with us?
There are actually several, so I had to pick one. Um, for some context for those that I haven't had the privilege of interacting with before, I am what you would call an in the moment clairvoyant medium. And I was born this way. Some mediums are born. I mean, we all have potential. So my weird experience, if you will, started young. The one that came to mind when you started this conversation, which I adore you for it. This is so much fun.
It is fun.
Um, it was, let's see, it was 1996. I had just moved to Indianapolis. I was very young, early 20s when that happened. I
Mm.
know, now you know how old I am.
I
But
yeah, I just did the math. I never knew before, and I'm like, ooh, 96. What's going
yeah,
on?
so at the time I smoked cigarettes. I've released that. Thank you, Spirit. And I was on my way to the gas station to get some more. Borrowed my boyfriend's car. And I like to take the back roads because I don't like main roads and highways.
Hmm.
It's a lot for me. So I took the back road and beautiful sunny day, listening, to some alternative music on the radio. And going down this back road, it felt like the gravity around me changed. It was really
Hmm.
weird. And like a magnetic feel. And all of a sudden the music kind of like it slowed down and I'm like and I looked and I'm like, what? And I looked over and there's these kids jumping on a trampoline and they're like in midair with their hair up and I'm like, I'm sober as a judge. What the hell? Sorry, what the H is going
Yeah,
on?
yeah, yeah.
And and I stepped on the brake, just to kind
You're
of
right.
get control over what I was experiencing. And I kid you not, there was a railroad track and then a road that would go under. So you could go under the railroad track to tee into the road that I was on. I kid you not, I hit that brake and a truck blew underneath that underpass and missed me by that much. If
Huh.
I would not have hit the brakes, that jagaloon would have T-boned me.
Wow.
So,
Oh, yeah. I
yeah,
bet everybody's got chills right now. Yeah.
it
Wow.
that was probably, well, what I can share with the public. Let's put it that
Yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
later, but
Yeah, yeah.
that was when I realized one, I wasn't alone. I didn't hallucinate. I was sober as I could be. And it was, I'm very grateful that something like that unfolded so I
Hmm.
didn't have to navigate the fallout of that potentiality. But that got my attention. After that happened, I felt, I guess, seen by something,
Hmm.
because I always knew
Oh,
there was
that's
like
a level.
spirit.
Yeah.
But it felt like guardian energy. Like this has to happen, has to get weird to get her to stop.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I
yeah.
think it still gives me the chills to this day. And that was many, many moons ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
What is that, 30 years ago now?
yeah,
Um,
yeah, exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Wow. How,
Yeah.
okay. So what an experience.
Yeah.
I love that. Like I was tracking with you and I thought you were going to go somewhere totally different with it. And it ended up being that. And, we hear these stories. My husband's got one of, he flipped his car and T-bowed himself into a
Mm,
pole. Came out zero scratches.
nice.
Zero. Like you hear of these stories that it's like something else, something
Hmm.
outside of ourselves. And like you said, you were sober, you're just running to the gas station real quick, like every other trip.
Right.
Yeah, in the day, sun is out, kids are even playing, and something. What do you think that now that it is 30 years later, what do you think that actually was?
Okay. So I remember it like it was yesterday. You have those
Hmm.
moments in your life that crystallize. That was one for me. And I was very lonely at the time because I
Hmm.
hadn't had the most pleasant earth experience up to that point. But what I took away with it that helped me elevate my frequency, if you will, was I felt seen. Something I felt valued because someone somewhere felt it necessary to keep me out of harm's way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's happened like that before, where harm's way will come and it's just like spirit
Yeah.
or whomever, universal citizens. I'm not sure what or
Right.
who it is. And it made me very grateful. It helped me stand in my power, be like, if you're gonna shift time, for me, then maybe I'm a little more important than I gave myself in credit, but not arrogant. But, I
Right. Right.
navigated a
Right.
lot of shame and a lot of, lower vibration, and that helped me, I guess, maintain courage. That was the Rubicon when I stopped that behavior because it was just like Spirit's way of saying, see, we
Yeah.
do
We're
care.
going right. We're going through all this trouble to slow down time, and for have you acknowledge it, we need you to acknowledge yourself.
I didn't have to, though. That's the beautiful thing. I chose to be grateful. I chose because some people
Yes.
may shrug that off.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I felt seen by spirit and was very, very grateful. It added to my ministry, I guess, if you will, to
Yeah.
validate other people that have unexplainable, weird, glitchy, things happen. It's like, oh,
Yes.
I can listen to that because you really sometimes don't have anybody you can tell. I mean, if I would have repeated that story in a different context, or like, uh-huh, he was sober.
Well, that was actually going to be one of my questions. Like afterwards, did you go around telling everybody? Did you just you held it in and it slowly reshaped your viewpoint
It definitely had a
and
big
it
hand in it.
opened you up to exploring other views and
Hmm.
other considerations within. See, that's
Hmm.
amazing.
Hmm.
That's
It became my
amazing. That
traits.
yes.
Hmm.
Yes, exactly. And so that's why we're having these conversations, is because, like I said at the beginning, however, this operating system, the matrix, the earth, the experiences, spirit, what have you, each one is going to be very unique and special and different, and but it can validate others. Like you
Correct.
said, it can help open more eyes. It can help us enrich our expansion of what is out there. So you
Hmm.
do think that it was kind of like they slowed down time. Oh, we just lost her. See, it happens.
Oh
It's okay. You're here. You popped
no.
in and out. The moment I
Okay.
said we slow down time, it's like, yeah, you want to see how powerful we are? Um,
Spirit's like, nothing's changed. Watch this.
I bet the audience, the regulars here, the beautiful subscribers, lovely stars, thank you for being here. Do have fun in the chat. I bet most of them would be like, I wonder what it'd be like if Courtney and Sophia were in the same room together. What would it be
Nail the roof
like?
down. That's what would
Right.
happen. I'm okay with that. Let's go.
Yes, yes, right, right.
Yeah,
Did it also, within that development, kind of in that respect, did it also release? Because you said you were born with it, so I'm sure there were experiences here and there that's like, okay, I'm questioning that, or I'm questioning my where I fit in all of that, right? And we kind of do because the world happens to us, and we end up having low self-esteem and all the traumas and all the guilt and
right.
shames, what have you, the lower
Hmm.
vibrations. But then when something happens like that and you can trust that something is protecting me, does it
It did
then,
build
like you said,
trust.
the courage that also came, like you
Uh-huh.
said, to kind of stand more in your awareness, your knowing, how did
It
that unfold?
Well, it in the moment after I realized, how nasty that could have been and how something influenced my environment to get me to step on the brakes. It shattered my illusion of isolation because the law of center, we're all connected whether we like
Mm,
it or not. whether we're going to receive that or not, it still remains a natural law. Universal oneness is another word for
Mm-hmm.
that. So that was definitely a huge step towards not feeling, something's wrong with me because nobody can, I wasn't interacting with other gifted people in that regard. But it really, it built trust again because
Mm-hmm.
with the religious abuse that a lot of us have gone through,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to have anything to do with any spirituality save, and it was
Mm-hmm.
kind of like Source's way of, we see you, we see you.
Wow.
Hmm. Yeah,
How much that, just that alone, the feeling not alone, just
hmm.
that right there can change so much in
It did.
someone's life.
It did
Re-
for me.
yeah, yeah, regardless if it's human to human or entity to human or experience to human, that acknowledgement of you're not alone.
Hmm.
That's beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, and that then can build the trust to have the courage to kind of start slowly loving oneself and
Correct.
feeling the appreciation.
And
Wow.
you have to trust your guides. At least I love yourself and then respect yourself and then trust your guides because working a platform, at Camp Chesterfield for strangers, there is a lot of trust between my team and myself. And I feel that that's where was the next step for me to
Mm-hmm.
continue to trust spirit. And I don't know, it was sacred. For me, sacred is set apart. And there are many other situations where spirit has shown up and be like, seriously, kid, and you can just kind of see them intervene. Here's another one. You want another one?
Yeah, I do. I love stories.
This actually happened on the grounds at Camp Chesterfield. Okay. My husband bought me a little electric scooter because I've navigated challenges walking. I've had
Mm-hmm.
back surgery and whatnot, and sometimes the classes were, in separate buildings, and the scooter would just help me keep my stuff and get there. Just a little 15-mile-an-hour action.
Right.
But between classes and after class during they're called week longs at camp. There's two of them. But anyway. I was after we're, just scooting around camp and just going through the front of the grounds and then going back western. There's a hotel there, the Western Hotel, and there's a speed bump. So
Mm.
the brakes are backwards on this scooter, right? So I pulled in my mind what was the back brake to slow down. Well, since they're switched, I pulled the front brake. I
Oh,
went over those handlebars.
oh my
There were
gosh.
people on the porch because some of my dearest friends were on the porch of the Western and some of them saw it. I went over the handlebars and I literally felt people catch me.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing I've got a picture of it, I had one little like baby purple, barely visible dot on my shoulder, and that is it.
Mm-hmm.
No scrapes, no scratches, no bruises. It was just like they just kind of like caught me like, all right, kid, you're
Right.
safe. And I stood up. I'm like, I'm good. Got back
Yeah.
on my scooter and kept going. I'm like, wow. Hmm.
Yeah, see, these stories help others too. Believe that it is there. Like, do you believe that we're all humans or the majority of humans, I don't know how to say it, that we have something that does want to protect us?
Agreed. I do. Well, I think we're all born with a team of guides, whether we learn who they are and employ them. But that would definitely be protector energy, coming forward. But I feel the key is not knowing that they're there, but allowing something amazing to happen, making space
Mm-hmm.
that, kn knowing that anything's possible.
Right.
It just needs the time, the situation, the energy, and the natural law for it to manifest. So I
Yeah.
think that's a part of it. It's like, oh, this happened to me. Is it because I'm a bad person? No. There may be a lesson, we only see, I mean, really, this is all my vision that I have. I'm
Mm-hmm.
missing all of this, and our spiritual walk, in my opinion, is no different. I'm not going to judge a situation, but when something amazing happens, I feel it's good to be grateful and acknowledge
Yes.
it.
Yeah, and I agree with you, and I think oftentimes, especially those who, and all of us we have. I think, it's interesting because in 3D, I do believe that it's the trauma and the pain that connects us, right? That's how we come together, but it's also the same thing that can, help us expand as well. Um,
Correct.
that for me, it took like reviewing everything and because growing up with so much trauma I might be thinking, no, I'm not protected, I'm not loved, I'm not this, because that's what we're focused on, that's what we remember, that's what we experience. But it took me reviewing everything going, oh my goodness, Courtney, look at all the times that you could have died. Like, look at all the times that between all of the stuff, look at all the times that you could have died and you're still here.
Mhm.
Clearly, something wants you here. And it slowly then had me start reshaping who I am and the worthiness, right? Because I think a lot of people's we struggle with worthiness issues, and but to review like that or to notice, maybe not in the moment, but to notice at some
Right.
point, like, yeah, that could have been a very different outcome,
Mhm.
can change everything. And that gratitude then changes how we view things. As you were saying, we view like this, but in reality, we're living like this. The gratitude can just shift how we view this matrix, as let's say.
There was I have a little bulletin board on my camp house where I put quotes and whatnot. And I'm a natural law, universal law, God's law fan because
Mm-hmm.
life does come with a playbook, at least where the energy is for us to work with if we choose to. But there's one, it's the what is it? We don't attract what we want, we attract what we are.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So if you want something, then it is suggested that one would get there faster if they would participate in activities for what they desire versus,
Mm-hmm.
you know, putting it out is like it's a receptive exchange versus a reach out and grab it. You have to align with what you
Mm-hmm.
want. And then there's the form for the substance that you're asking for. That
Mm-hmm.
that it, it's there's a lot of, I guess, responsibility that comes with it. And I'm excited to be living and thriving and laughing instead of what the
Mm-hmm.
first half of my experience was. And if, I don't know, I just laugh a lot. I mean, it's free endorphins, every time
Yeah,
you
it's
laugh,
yes.
and
Yeah.
it's free. So
Yeah.
anyway, I'm a little
Yeah.
all over the place. Sorry, Courtney.
No, you're not. I'm everybody's tracking. Everybody's tracking.
Good.
Everybody's probably I don't know, with me I'm sitting here going, "Uh-huh." Yeah. So you follow more of the universal energy aspects and you're talking about quote unquote how people manifest or like they're really manifesting all the time. That's why I say these words. I always say that like y'all we're manifesting all the time. Manifesting is demonstrating. So what are you demonstrating?
Mhm.
And but I sometimes wonder if it's because of the hard times, if we miss these things. We miss how we think that, how we view how this place operates, I guess you would say. And like what you were just saying made me think, well, that is, just that's one of the wheels in this operating system. Like we are manifesting, folks. So could you speak on like some ideas that you have as to that universal laws, that universal guide of,
Okay. One of my favorite universal laws is the law of mind,
mm,
because the spirit world is all mental. Once you release your body, what remains is all mental. So that's why I'm very mindful what I'm meditating on, because what we think about, we bring about.
mm-hmm,
So that's another one. And the law of love is the other one, because all of the laws hang on the law of love. And that's
mm-hmm,
why when a little bit ago, we were talking about self-love, self-worth, being at the frequency of courage or higher, where love would
mm-hmm,
be at the top and fear and hate and anger would be towards the bottom. You manifest from the unconscious, you
mm-hmm,
know? So whatever your core is, and the law of change and progress, we always change, we're always progressing, whether we are aware of it or not. And I had to experience with that moment value and worth and gratefulness to get me out of that anger and fear. And from there, it kept going.
I kept
'Cause-
going. Yeah.
Yeah, where is it? I
Do
think
you?
I've got a book. Yeah, here's another plug, Courtney. This is a book that just came back into publication. It's called
Oh,
The Keys
wow.
to the Kingdom. And this is Reverend Terry Ryan. He wrote two books, and this is focusing on the nine laws of the cycle of life. So a lot of what
Nice.
I'm talking about is in here, and it's on Amazon now. Yay, Spirit.
Okay, isn't
That
that is that
happened.
your isn't that one of your teachers?
He passed in the spirit in
Okay.
March of 25,
Oh, I
and then
didn't
I,
know
I
that.
bought
Oh,
his house.
okay. Oh, I didn't know any of this. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, it's been way too long, Sophia.
Yeah.
Oh, did you
That's
really?
Terry Ryan.
Oh,
Yep.
lovely.
But yeah, it's Keys to the
Okay.
Kingdom, and it's not very
I
expensive. I think it's like $14.
Yeah,
But
I will put that a link for that
yeah.
in the description. I will have to make note of that.
So he
Um
started it. We're blaming it all on Terry Ryan. Reverend Terry Ryan is what planted that natural law seed, and just, it was liberating, because I'm like, that makes sense. It helps me make sense of what I experience. Hmm.
Yes. And we us humans, I think that's why so many people are seekers. Is because we're it's ingrained in us to try to make sense, make especially if something seemed a part of the chaos of like or supernatural or paranormal. It's
Hmm.
we have to make sense of it. We need the order. Like all humans, like I'm striving for the order. When it's
Hmm.
for me, the order and chaos are simultaneous, but it's having your eyes open to, yeah, everything might seem very chaotic and whatnot. There's order there. There's always
Hmm.
order within the chaos. It's finding it, it's looking for it. That I think that's beautiful, that the universal laws have kind of shifted you into higher frequency, higher consciousness, as in, and then reshaping your life by living so, by being that living
Yep.
demonstration of it.
It's a responsibility. It really is. I mean, we have free will. We can do what we want by and large, but when we align with something that has been in place since the beginning of time and will be in place long after I'm gone, that
Mm-hmm.
strengthens, at least my experience, when I'm aware of what's going on around me and being in the now. That's the other thing with the Matrix that we were talking about, that I was so excited about, is because part of the Matrix is right
Mm-hmm.
here. I don't know about you, but my doom scroll record is 2.5 hours. I feel, yeah, it's just, you just kind of just keep going,
Oh
little
my
reel
gosh,
after reel,
yeah,
which
I
it
guess
isn't.
so. I
It's not bad. But being aware that you're spending your most expensive, unrenewable resource, your time.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm just like, oh, we can read a book instead.
Yeah, I just now learned the whole term doomsday scrolling, and I was like, what is that? And then it was, well, do I do that? And I think I spend maybe once a month, maybe 10 minutes scrolling through the news to be like, what is happening in the world? And then that's about it. But I started that a long time. Here's the thing. I'm still not fully, I don't know. The internet and I'm cool with AI. I mean, it's all the same jazz to me. Like this is actually very, for me it's very elementary computer stuff. It's very elementary still. Um but like I've never really participated. And it actually caused me a lot of trouble in my life from high school onward. It just caused me so much trouble when it's like I don't know what an email is. College professor in '04. Like
Mhm.
I don't know what any of this stuff is. Um I still don't. And that's the thing is like I just don't, and I went years without TV, like I had no
Same.
internet, I had no TV, and I was in my
Yep.
20s. I was,
Going to the
this was,
library.
I mean, '08 happened and I was like, I'm cutting out everything.
Right.
Like I can't afford
Hmm.
nothing. And I was a reader anyways, and I lived by a library. So it was like, okay.
Right.
Um that I just still haven't gotten accustomed to doing that. But I have witnessed how that can, I'll have a gathering, a barbecue, or just people hanging out. At some point, they're all just scrolling. And I'm thinking, what the hell is on there? That is so
Right.
captivating. What is on there? And I do think it's a part of this system. I think it's our relationship that matters. And I'm not
Right.
saying to do it my way either, because trust me, I
Mm-hmm.
miss out. You know what I mean? I miss out on a
Hmm.
lot of things because it's like, whoa, I didn't know that. Well, it's because I'm not
Right.
participating in something, so therefore I don't know.
Hmm.
Um, so everybody's afraid of this AI stuff, and I don't really get that because maybe it's because I know that I'm a creator, maybe because I
Yeah.
stand in my authority, maybe because I know my mind, and
Hmm.
my mind's not going to be infiltrated by anything. So I don't know why people are afraid of AI. I really don't.
Because they don't know enough about it. We fear what we don't know. That's a very, at least
Mm,
that's how I view it. It's very primal.
okay.
Like it's new, it's foreign, and I feel. I don't have a problem with the technology because it can save time if it's a tool. If it's used correctly, like to polish an email. Grammar is not my strong suit. So I'll
Right.
polish and I'll put what I need in there. And I'm like, all right, if you're gonna, I call it wiretap, right? Because it's always listening. It's
Yeah.
always
Yes.
listening.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and if it's gonna listen, it's gonna dance for its dinner, just like I do. So I
Mm-hmm.
use AI to my advantage, but then that's also why there are times when I can and will turn my phone off, just so I have that
Yes.
present grounding centering. That's why I'm not
Yeah.
on the interwebs on social media because if God forbid, like when Ozzy Osbourne passed away, there was no way I could have been on Facebook that day. It
Yeah.
would have
Yeah.
just been so challenging because you have that group grief. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
there's certain things that happen in the world. I'm kind of glad I hear about it afterwards
Mm-hmm.
because it can be toxic, when you're writing meditations and
Yeah.
outlines to instruct a class. It's a straight up distraction for me. And that's part of the reason why I don't really miss it because sometimes it can take more than it can give. And to be honest with you, I spend more money through this machine than I do
Right.
face to face.
Yeah.
So
That's wild.
there,
Oh, wow. That's
there's the
wild.
motivation.
Okay.
Uh-huh, to keep us plugged in. They want our money.
Oh, shit. That's not, wow. That's wild.
That's how I feel
Um,
about it. I could be wrong and I'm okay with
no,
it.
no, no. Yeah, no, no, you're probably, no, you're probably right. That's what I'm saying. Like, no, I agree. Well, you're probably right. That is definitely probably right. Because, wow, okay. Okay.
Hmm.
So, because we're kind of talking about it, my dad, when I was younger, he was a seer, and he didn't know how to handle it, and made him very not, well. Um, but when I was a kid, he raised me for like doomsday to like know how to handle all that, right?
Right.
Because he was just not well. And one of the things though that he kept saying is he kept saying, Courtney, and I mean I'm 8, 9, 7, whatever. I mean I'm a kid.
Right.
And he would say, Courtney, there's gonna come a day that they're gonna be able to see where you are everywhere. They're gonna know where
Oh,
you
so
are at all
prophecy. Let's go,
times.
Dad.
Yeah. Oh, dude, Dad was, but
Nice.
unfortunately, he couldn't handle it because his was that timeline of like, whoa, this is gonna go
Yeah.
down. So let's make Courtney a little mini soldier. You know, like she's gonna be the John Carter of the future. Um, like that's what he. I swear that was his goal. Um, really weird for a kid, by the way.
Bet.
But he knew I also had the gift though of sight. So it was like, Courtney, what are let me train you
Mhm.
more in this and blah blah blah. But he would say, and it was the thing that disturbed him the most. He would sit me down and he would say, Courtney, there's gonna come a day, and this is like the 80s. Like this is, 86, 87. Like this is not anywhere even near real technology yet. And he would say there will come a day that they will know where you're at. They will be able to see all communication. They will be able to hear everything. They will be able to this. They will be able to that. And I remember I would go, whoa, how would they do that? And he would say through technology. And I'm like, no, dude, no, no, I don't think so. I know how to get through the caverns, like, no,
Mhm.
dude. And he'd go, no, Courtney, I very much mean this. They are going to be able to know where you're at, know everything that is being said and done. And he said, and they're also going to be able to hear your thoughts.
That's a
And
different
I
creature,
went,
but you're not wrong.
yeah, I'm right. And I said, hear my thoughts. And he said, they're going to know what you're thinking. And I said, no, I don't think so, Danny. He said, they will, Courtney. So what are you going to do about it then? Like, how do you? So his whole thing was like, how do you fight the man if that is going on, Courtney? And every time I was like, I don't know, Dad. Like that's a lot, Dad.
It
And
is a lot.
and yeah, and and I so then I would say, well, what do I do, Dad? Like you're the one teaching me. What do I
Right.
do? And every single time he would go, that's the problem. I don't know. And I'm not going to be here for it, but you will. I don't know what to do with that. And so I spent most of my, you know, childhood, young adulthood, all my hoods going, what the fuck am I going to do? Pardon my language. What am I going to do about that? Like,
Right. Yeah.
what am I going to
Yeah.
do about that?
Mhm.
But then I found, I have tracked it enough now that yes, it can read your thoughts. It can. It can. It is tapped in. It is
I
tapped
think
in.
sometimes they see the patterns.
Yeah, well, it's beyond patterns. They can. But it's not. I have a feeling it's more those that might be more tapped in anyways. Like it
Hmm.
can read mine because I'm tapped in to the totality. So the more that we expand, the more that's going to be a part of it as well. And
Hmm.
it's not just the algorithms, not just the rhythms, they will be able to. But then I realized, oh, this is still a tool though. It does not make the distinction between good, bad, or indifferent. It's still a tool.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
if it's going to be reading my thoughts and projecting that back to me, projecting it out to the rest,
There you go.
all I have to do is have good thoughts all the time, which
Uh-huh.
then goes back to the gratitude and the love and all these universal things of we're actually all connected. So, like,
All right.
imagine if we all realize that it's not just the machines, it's all of
Hmm.
us that will be able to do this as well. Well, then we should just all have great thoughts all the time, and that's how we overcome the doomsday that my father kept preparing me for. That was my
That's the
resolve, and that
challenge.
was a very, that's the challenge, right? Because the human
Hmm.
mind also lies to us, doesn't it?
If it's not
Yeah,
balanced, grounded, and centered, you can definitely get misinformation. You have
yeah,
to know yourself and question all of it. The only way to find out if something doesn't fit is to know who you truly are.
yeah,
That's why, it's so important to look at your
yes,
numerology, your astrology, your symbols, what you've experienced. But yeah, the telepathy that you're speaking of, it has to do with the law of mind as well.
mm-hmm,
What we think about, we bring about, like I said earlier, but also thoughts are things and energy follows thought.
mm-hmm,
So if an artificial intelligence, if you will, is able to tap into that and interact with it, I have to be very careful because my joy is very important. It keeps my
yeah,
frequency high, not better, because energy is
right,
neither good nor bad. Vibration
yeah,
determines the nature of the thing. But I have
right,
to be careful how much I absorb of what, so I'm not
yes,
pulling myself down into a lower frequency. And it's
yeah,
not that people that are down there are bad. It's just like the hertz and
yes,
music. There's nothing wrong with middle C, very
right,
low versus
right,
G. It's just different.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that people don't? Because you said, you got to know yourself. And I think that's why I can stand here and say all this stuff because I spend quality time with myself. I always have.
You've done the work.
Um,
Hmm.
yeah, well, I have a Scorpio moon and Scorpio rising,
So
sweetheart. I
let's
mean, I go
go,
into
Team
the,
Score.
yeah,
Yeah.
I go into the darkest of the
Uh-huh.
dark,
Hmm.
to find and to be that phoenix. But I think maybe that's what the scrolling is all about. It's the avoidance of self. That's why we put
Fair.
on what they used to call the boob tube, the television.
Hmm.
Like, I don't want to spend time with myself, and I don't under. I personally, do you have any thoughts as to why we don't do that? Because I honestly don't, because I grew up just doing it because it's a part of my programming.
To me, that's exactly what it is programming. That's how
Mm,
I receive it, at least right now. Is that avoidance of oneself if you didn't have the desire or the example to self-investigate. If you say you didn't have a parent or a teacher or the doctrine or the education that introduces the concept to of knowing who you are, then you're not going to do it. You're going to fall into the pattern that everybody else that went before you did. And
mm.
until, with the Matrix, you have the red pill, you have the blue pill. The
Right.
blue pill means that you still stay asleep. The red pill means you just picked up a pretty big backpack and you got a lot of work to do. Because being open and engaged in the now, you have to stop the doom scrolling and the self-pacifying and the escapism but
Yeah.
that's comfortable,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, what was it? I told one of my friends, I was like, when spirits like with the clairvoyant circle, I was like, my comfort zone. And then I started thinking, what did my comfort zone actually do for me in the first place? Because we don't grow in our comfort zone.
Right. That's what I was going to ask is can you talk about like how much more fulfilling it is
It is terrifying
to
sometimes.
terrifying and fulfilling. Isn't that such an interesting like that's a part of the matrix here too of maybe 3D, 5D. Like what is terrifying can also be so fulfilling. The opposite of that, the duality of that sort of stuff that I do you think that that's how it kind of works for us? That if we kind of take in and work on ourselves, that we get the fulfillment?
I feel we do. I feel that's the reason that we embody a physical form in the first place, because we can learn, experience, and check more off of our energetic to-do list in a body than we can without one. So
Mm,
it's you have to want it. If you want to have to wake up, the red pill or the blue pill, it's a choice. No one says you have
mm-hmm,
to wake up. But I feel if you're awake and present and authentic and pursuing things that bring you joy, that and somewhat either, okay. Um, I was pursuing discernment one time because it was like a couple people had, kind of pulled one over on me. And I'm just like, why didn't I see that coming, spirit? And I started pursuing discernment. Well, it started, was pursuing us. What we pursue is pursuing us. That's Rumi.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And I quickly realized, when you take the veil off and pursue understanding, disappointment generally isn't far behind, but then you don't want to turn the disappointment then into judgment because everybody's the way they are for a very good reason. So you
mm-hmm,
have to observe, you know, what you perceive and apply to your life if you choose to step out and then sometimes stay out of your comfort zone. But here's the PS. When I do that, I cannot be attached to the outcome.
yeah,
I can set my
yeah,
intentions, I can do my work, I can put my energy behind it, but because I don't see the whole picture, maybe my intention isn't high enough, you know? So
mm,
it's being present, meditating, knowing we're part of something bigger, and trying to setting boundaries on low vibrational behavior. That's a really a hard one. That was very because I know my worth. Finally, finally.
finally, yeah, yeah,
And when somebody treats me like garbage, I have to, because it's my responsibility, to say, I'm not going to allow you to talk to me like that.
right,
And there have been many times where I've had to lay a boundary down and call one of my, a trusted friend and be like, why can't they just be nice to me? Why can't they just stop that behavior? It's because they haven't healed that emotional body scar.
mm-hmm,
So they're energetically bleeding on me. It's my choice whether or not I allow that to occur. But
right,
then instead of hating that person or judging that person, I pray very fervently, open their eyes, open their ears, open their minds to the truth of what's really unfolding. They don't have to see it my way, but I know my worth and I'm not going to allow people to treat me like crap anymore. It's just not going to
mm-hmm.
happen. I've had
I,
enough of
I,
that for one lifetime.
yeah, I think boundaries are, it's an ongoing process because people do change and evolve, and I think boundaries it's so insidious within our mental makeup, our thought patterns, habits, and behaviors that we're continuously having to identify new boundaries and then
Correct.
establish those boundaries because it's a case by case basis. And, I think in those who see, when I was young and I first started this healing journey, I was still very broken. And I loved when I learned about boundaries just so I could break them. It was like, I want to be a rebel still. So I'm going to put up all these boundaries just so I can break them and see what the hell happens. I loved the chaos. I was
They're
addicted
meant
to
to
the
move.
chaos.
They're
Right.
meant to
And
move.
but then over time I was like, oh, these really do come in handy and they need to be established for my own self, right? And it's based on that worth. It really is based on the acknowledgement and the appreciation of the self-worth, I think, as to
Mhm.
what we allow and what we don't allow. Um, and allowance is how we allow it to affect us, right? Not so
Mhm.
much what they do, because we have no control over them. But I think it's so valuable, but even within like the spiritual context, you know what I mean? I think there's a lot of people that play with a lot of things called sloppy magic. I think there's a lot of people that do a lot of things just because of not being aware of what all is out there and how to
Right.
really, and maybe not understanding the full effect of things that can happen because they
Right.
haven't witnessed enough that
They're
I
ignorant.
don't. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just it's ignorance, and I
I'm
think
ignorant in some things. That's part of the deal.
everybody is. Yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
I can humbly admit when I'm ignorant because yeah, there's plenty I don't know about. Um,
Hmm.
but the boundaries, it's like for me, I've learned that I have to put like if I go into something that I don't really know about, I'm
Hmm.
gonna set some boundaries first before I even enter in, just because I know I'm ignorant and I'm willing to admit it. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like, for some reason, that word, people just have issues with admitting that they're ignorant. And it's like, no, no, no. Socrates said, and I said this the other night, that Socrates, one of his quotes was, um, the awareness of ignorance is the beginning of wisdom.
Correct.
Like when we can admit that we're ignorant about something, well, then we're going to strive to learn about it. We're going to actually be open to learning about it. And all of
Hmm.
these quotes that you've said, I've said, like, this is part of the matrix of how do we live this? How do we really live this? And boundaries is it, the experiences we have, fully experiencing our worthiness, I think really sets the stage for a whole new experience. And you keep talking about it, and it came from the acknowledgement of, whoa, something has protected me. I must be worth something to somebody out there somewhere. You know, even
Correct.
that little nugget can blossom into all this stuff.
Well, here's the other thing too, while we're talking about quotes and laws. What was coming to mind when you were speaking a little bit ago about boundaries and knowing your worth? Um, One of the spiritualist principles is we create our own happiness or unhappiness by abiding with or against the natural laws. So
Hmm.
knowing natural law, if you know there's a pile of over there, if you have the wisdom not to step in it in the first place, kind of scenario, right? But
Hmm.
the other thing was Andrew Jackson Davis, who is one of the forefathers, I guess, of spiritualism, the spiritualist movement. One thing that he said is the golden staff. In all
Hmm.
things, keep an even mind.
Hmm.
So, in order to, at least the way I did it, the way that I keep an even mind is one, minding who I allow in my space, because we have that privilege and that right. We're
Hmm.
not in a country where you have to anything, really.
Right.
But then the other one is unpacking and gently, gracefully, and sometimes with a professional, I ain't ashamed of it, be able to be not so reactive because until you address your trauma and heal your emotional body and partner it with your mental body, then you come
Hmm.
from a place of wisdom. But if you're walking around with all this shrapnel in your energetic body from your childhood or hell, yesterday, you know,
Yeah,
if
right,
you
right.
don't deal with it, it will cause separation within yourself. And then you can't be a calm mind because you're already energetically wound up in some regards. That's why I
Yeah,
had to do my work
yeah,
because if I didn't, then it would sabotage my ability to help someone in that arena. It's not
yeah.
easy. There's a lot of tears, there's a lot of Kleenex, there's a lot of, wrestling with
Yes,
it,
yeah,
but
yeah,
that comes strength in it as well.
yeah, yeah. And the pursuit can keep going because each time you can fall back into that protection, that knowing that you're worthy of it. Yeah, I fully agree.
Hmm.
And when you were thinking, when I started a journey a long time ago, a Japanese quote, uh, I lived by it for quite a while of, it's, a wise man can foresee the future. And that has nothing to do with like, oh, I'm a seer. That has to do with, yeah, don't step in that puddle. You continuously step in that damn puddle, Courtney. Just
We'll go with
don't do
puddle.
that. Yeah, just don't do it. Just
Right.
I don't know, step around it, step over it, do something different, Courtney, because you can
Yeah.
foresee oh, I've been doing this puddle. I've been stomping in this puddle a million times over. That's what that really means. A
Yeah,
wise man can foresee the future, as in change the change the trajectory. Yeah, it's all freedom of choice. It's all power of choice. And
change the
so
mind.
that, I mean, yeah, that stuck with me so much that it was like, oh, yeah, you don't necessarily have to be a seer of anything. You don't have to have the know the outcomes. You don't have to be attached to the outcomes. You just stop stepping in the damn puddle. Like it can be that easy.
Here's another one. When you said that, the spirit brought to my mind, it's like, you have the mountain. Sometimes spirit doesn't move the mountain, it moves the spark. It
Yeah.
moves the
Yeah.
person. It shows us a way to face the mountain, but not pursue it, pursue problems in unconventional ways. It's just like whenever life shows up, I'm like, all right, spirit, I feel the mosh pit. I hear the music. I smell the
Right.
sweat. I understand. Now, what do I
Yes.
need to get through this to get my t-shirt? How do I get through this lesson with as much grace? So I don't know if you've ever been in a mosh pit. That is black-eyed, jack jaw,
Oh, I have been in many.
crunching. It's
Yeah.
insane.
I have
And
been
it's
in
like when
many.
life shows up, it's like, I want my concert t-shirt because I've been there and I'm doing this. But what's the most graceful way for me to understand why this is unfolding?
Yeah.
Because it's not personal.
No, you know what? You brought up a perfect example. So I've been debating if I'm going to go to a concert or not because it's probably going to be the last time they play ever in
Okay.
life. And so I've been debating, should I spend the money? It's not even the money thing. It's like because I am older now and I have been in many a mosh pits. And I was like, I turned to my husband and I was like, I don't know which Courtney would show up. Is it going to be the
Fair.
40-something-year-old Courtney that's like willing to stand on the side and
Yeah.
be safe and not dumb? Or is all of a sudden I'm going to get the feeling and I'm going to join them? At 40, whatever age I am, what Courtney is going to show up? So I'm still in this like, a wise man can foresee the future. Courtney, are you even going to go? Because it is, a lot of money in today's world and the drive, ill, either Nashville or Atlanta, either one is ill. And which Courtney is actually going to show up? Like, so that's the perfect example right there as to how do we really navigate this. Spend time with yourself. Know that, yeah, Courtney, I told my husband, because Brad, I have still all the potential in the world to jump into that pit. I still have all that potential in me to jump in. So
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure yet, buddy. you know?
Well, see, knowing yourself, like we're talking about, you can, not all the time, but you have a better chance of finding what you're willing to afford.
Right.
Can
Exactly.
can can I afford this? Because then you can start playing the tape forward and be like,
Mm-hmm.
perhaps the whatever year old side of me, yeah, that's why when I look at a situation, it's like, does do I have more to lose here than I'm willing to release? You
There you
know?
go. See? And
Mm-hmm.
this is how we navigate this stuff. This is what we're actually living in this matrix. However it operates,
Mm-hmm.
it is operating through us.
It's true.
And being able to, and I think it comes with that self acceptance as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people, because we're in the spiritual arena, they have a lot of projected thoughts onto folks like me, or us that it's like we need to be Buddha on the mountaintop or something. And I'm right now saying I have all the potential in the world to jump into a mosh pit with 20-year-olds, like because that's who I am. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it also when we start investigating and learning ourselves, there needs to be that layer of acceptance of
Correct.
this is who I was, this is what's still present, this is what I want to let go of, this is what I'm going to keep, this is who I am, this is stuff that I don't think is ever going to go anywhere, and I'm okay with it.
Right.
Learning to be okay with it. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that shifts things as well to then, because then we start living more authentically. And when we
Mm-hmm.
live authentically, I think more of that stuff, as what you're saying, comes to us.
Mm-hmm.
I think that really is. I wanted to ask you though, Sophia. You had brought up the subconscious and all this stuff that we're talking about. When you work, do you think you are connected to your subconscious? Do you think you're more connected throughout the day? Do you appreciate the power of your subconscious in regards to this matrix?
When I have the privilege of working with spirit, it is a subconscious. It's like tapping into the collective unconscious, which means my ego needs to go eat a
Mm-hmm.
Snickers bar,
Mm-hmm.
okay, when I
Mm-hmm.
serve. Um, but what I really feel is that knowing yourself, knowing your signs, knowing your symbols, building your mental dictionary, if you will, because the subconscious doesn't use words, that uses
Mm-hmm.
symbols. Words are, the projective side of the mind. The symbols that I feel, I understand, I'm impressed with, I see, those are the key words that engages the back of the mind. At least that's how my instrument works. If you ever see me work the platform and I say, I think, okay, that's the logical side of the mind. That doesn't work for me. Because if I say
Mm-hmm.
I think when I'm doing message work, which is the I feel, I understand, I'm impressed with, I see. When I say I think, I might as well just put both feet on the brakes. Because
Yeah,
spirit's like, oh,
yeah.
you're thinking now. What do you think? And I'm just like, eek,
Yeah.
just kidding.
Right. Right.
Continue.
Right. Did you keep like a catalog of what things mean, or you just kept it in your memory bank? Well,
Both.
I'm like, did you write it down? Okay. Yeah, I was
Both. Yeah.
curious.
Yeah, especially when I was on a mission to
Mm,
serve to the highest degree, since I'm going to be down here and I might as well do something cool and I might as well be the best version of myself.
yeah.
And being very gifted, the symbols, the colors, the numbers, because getting that universal symbolism down is very important. It's just like Red Cross. I don't care where you are in the entire world, Red Cross is always going to mean help,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So the things that are universally agreed upon as to their meaning, which would be numbers, colors, and the universal symbols, and then
Symbols.
going down into the cultural symbols,
Yeah.
right? Which only Americans, I guess, because that's where I live, would really understand. And then the personal symbols would be the bottom layer, which things are significant to me in my path.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just like playing energetic charades with my guides, and when I have the privilege, other people's guides and loved ones, that's how the information comes through for me by knowing my symbols. So when I see it, I'm like, oh, I see what you're saying. I understand what you're getting at now. And it just
Mm-hmm.
gets faster and faster and faster the more I work
Mm-hmm.
to give messages of encouragement, edification, and unfoldment.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Cool. I was curious because everybody's got a different take on the subconscious. And because I mean, it's the one thing that apart to this matrix aspect, it's nobody really gets what's going on there. And so
Hmm.
everybody's got their own take. Uh, you have said the word service, I think 4 times now, 4 or 5 times now. Do
Yep,
you feel that that is a large part to why we're here?
it can be. We don't have to. But that's where you were what we were saying earlier, like the fulfillment and the completion for me happens when I'm in service.
Mm-hmm.
Once upon a time, and still some places, people won't, talk to me because I use tarot cards, right? So if someone gets to the point to where they want to have a conversation with me, it's a privilege to serve and share my abilities,
Mm-hmm.
because once upon a time, people like me, we had to blend into the wall.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't allowed to share what are. So now that we're in a day and age to where it's more acceptable, it is a distinct privilege to serve and to share my gifts. So, yeah.
Yeah. I personally, I do think that they will always say your purpose is to love. Sorry, it's saying my internet is not connected, but it is. We're still recording. I trust. Um, uh, they will, for, I think for everybody, we all have the same purpose. It's to love. I really do. But
Of
how
course.
that looks, how we do that, how we live out what Edgar Casey would call your ideal. That's
That a
very,
girl, there you go.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
different for everybody, and
it is.
so, yeah, and for me personally, we all do have an ideal, and I do believe it's of some kind of service to, it could be one other person, it could be the totality, it could be the animals, it could be the earth. We have something that is of service.
Mhm.
And I think that word intimidates people, and I think that word gets real wonky within like codependency
True.
and all sorts of aspects that I think when it's natural and it feels natural, like you were just saying, it's a privilege to be able to do this for others.
Hmm.
It's a beautiful thing. Well, that's what shifts a lot of our concept of what our ideals can be. And so I want to thank you, Sophia, for living your ideal, for
Yeah.
being that living demonstration, that living manifestation, so others can witness and know that it can happen, that it might take a lot, but it's not, it is attainable.
They're not
So,
alone.
yes, and we're not alone. We're not at all. And so I give you great kudos and cheers for choosing yourself and walking the path and continuously choosing yourself for it. And that's why I always love having you as as a guest, because you speak about these things, and we can visibly resonate, and we can visibly witness and see and hear and be a part of your journey that can encourage others to do the same.
I don't know. None of us really know how long we're going to be down here. And I just do my very best to be the highest degree of what I'm capable of. Because it's easy to hide and pretend and self-loathe and be in a negative feedback loop. But when I decided to put my foot down, and like that's enough, I deserve better than until I received it and held on to it. The toiling happened for decades.
Mm, yeah,
And if one, like you said, if one person decides to choose better for themselves by something you say or I say, or,
yeah,
and another person at the right place at the right time, they choose to pursue happiness. Let's go. It's
yeah,
worth it. I have
yeah.
no idea how long I'm going to be down here,
Right.
and I'm going to have a good time. There will be a lot of food, there will be a lot of fun, and there will be a lot of,
Right.
we can't say that last word on YouTube. Just
Right.
kidding.
A whole lot of good times. That's what I know.
Let's go.
Yes. I mean, how great is chocolate? How great is all the stuff? How great is, yeah, just
Yes.
all of it. How great are mosh pits? See, that's my dilemma right now. So, yeah, see, how great is all this stuff? So, um, we're gonna let everybody go, but first,
Yeah.
Sophia, is there anything you want to leave people with other than the whole, hey, experience the greatness?
Yeah.
Is there
Yeah.
anything you would like to leave people with?
Pursue joy.
Mm,
Pursue joy.
mm,
If there is one thing that will be on my headstone is that I did my part to pursue joy and happiness, and that is not in
mm-hmm,
my comfort zone.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Very unfamiliar.
Yeah.
Yes, but wonderful. I try to now make my tagline, or, send in an email or whatever. I
Hmm.
do in dash joy, because we can actually do everything in joy.
Correct.
And
Agreed.
it's very different than enjoying, enjoy, when it's like, okay, I'm enjoying this, it's what a good time. No, do everything that way. do everything. So I agree. Pursue it, folks. It changes. It changes everything, doesn't it?
Well, I'm grateful and I appreciate you reaching out. And I hope there's other topics that we can collaborate on.
Yes.
And
We
yeah,
are, beloved audience. I'm thinking maybe hopefully in September, we could talk about the Nordic aspect of things because
let's
I'm
go.
once again I'm quite ignorant to a lot of it. And it's weird because it's like that's what's run through my bloods, and I'm like, okay, whatever. I know enough. But I don't know, and so many people are fascinated by the Nordics and Odin
There's a lot.
and all the yes, which
Mm,
is beautiful. I love my
hmm
husband's fascinated. I'm like, that's why you married one, you know, like he yes, he loves it. But I once again, I will humbly admit, yeah, I'm pretty ignorant to my own peoples. So
That's where the excitement, that page energy in the tarot to be teachable, to be curious, to
yeah,
pursue it. The only
yeah,
person in my way sometimes is me. So,
yes. Oh,
yeah,
usually when we really step back, it's always just us. Yeah,
you know,
always. Well, beloved stars, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Matrix Living. We talked about a whole lot of great stuff. There were, I believe, a great deal of diamonds and gems that you can walk away from with this. And we do. Both I know that Sophia and I both hope that this inspired you to do enjoy. Pursue
hmm
that joy. And we are both living testimonies, examples, demonstrations, and manifestations that it is attainable to heal, to love yourself and trust yourself completely, and have that filter through all this magical stuff that we can experience here in the Matrix. So, Sophia, thank you so much for being here. This was awesome.
appreciate you. I look forward to the next one.
Yes, ma'am. Good night, beautiful stars. Do enjoy your week and remember, cherish yourself always. Bye, everyone.